So I'm going to be doing my final project on Doomism, which is a climate delayed discourse as stated by William Lamb. So the first question is, what is Doomism? So Doomism is a communication tactic that essentially says that any mitigation efforts will not be useful towards climate change because climate change is too far gone and the planet cannot be helped and there's really no use in helping. It more focuses on adaptation instead of mitigation. So instead of trying to fight off climate change, it's just adapting to what is coming because of climate change. And doomism is something that is very popular among younger generations, and I will get more to this into this in a second. So, how is doomism communicated? So it is mostly over social media, which is why it's kind of more common amongst younger generations. And I think this quote from Marco Silva in his BBC article just kind of sums up the statement on that. So he said, then there are people who know that fear in general goes viral, and they're just following trends, even if they don't necessarily understand the science. So if someone's scrolling on Instagram and they see a bunch of wildfires and they see, our planet's ending, blah, 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 then they'll probably be in fear. And then they'll share their fear and then it'll just spread everywhere. Also, doomism is communicated through scientific exaggerations. Basically, someone of an academic background can say, oh, we have almost no trees left in this forest, when in actuality there's about 50% or 75% or something like that. But they're exaggerating their cause to make it seem more fearful and more of a desperate cause. And doomism primarily uses pessimistic language, such as the sign on the bottom that says, we don't have time, portraying that there isn't any time to focus on stopping climate change, just adapting to it. And bad imagery. So, like you see in the image on the right, up on the top, there's a bunch of wildfires, lightning, meteors, and the person who is very distraught. So, doomism is a very unhelpful strategy. The main reason why this is because it intensifies climate anxiety, which is a feeling of helplessness or hopelessness towards just the situation of the planet and its state of climate and all that. It also covers up any positive news. So if you're scrolling on your TikTok For You page and you see a bunch of videos that says, oh, this is extinct, our world is ending, the world is on fire, there could be one story that says, oh, hey, this forest is actually getting replanted and it's actually helping the biodiversity and the ecosystem of that area. That can get lost in all of the bad news. It also may stop current and future generations from attempting to find solutions for climate change. So, like I said before, they would just try to adapt to it instead of trying to stop what is already happening. So, there are a bunch of better ways to communicate climate news. Feeling anxious over climate matters and climate anxiety is something that almost everyone will face. I mean, looking at the state of climate change, it's not great, but it's not something that everyone should be fearing all the time, like thinking about it, like fearing it 24/7, all that. So, doomism basically spreads that. It's an intense feeling that leads many people to giving up and accepting the fact that our world is going to be over, basically. So, searching for solutions and attempting to have a positive attitude is really all that we can do to fight these helpless states of anxiety. I would say that the best way to do this is to focus on the actual facts, not exaggerated ones, not falsified ones, the true facts. But in facing doomism, so one could also go onto the other side of the spectrum, which is basically sugarcoating the climate situation, saying that, oh, it's all right, blah, blah, blah. It is a dire situation, but putting out that the world is ending 24/7 is not an effective way to address that. And there are good things happening all the time. Like, as you can see down towards the bottom, like species that were on the endangered animals list are getting back and repopulating themselves, and forests are getting repopulated, and people care, which is really nice. Okay, so that was my report on doomism. Here are my sources and the image sources down at the bottom. And I hope you learned a lot about this discourse delay for climate change, doomism.